It's time that we have a little talk about Zinedine Zidane. Frankly, I think it's time we all throw a little more respect on Zizou's name. And I hear you. He is plenty respected. As a player, he is one of the most universally revered footballers of all time. And there's no shortage of praise for his accomplishments as a manager because, well, winning 10 trophies and the equivalent of just under 4 full seasons comes with a certain undeniable prestige. But if you're still among the cynics who think he may be just a little bit lucky, or you're not cynical, but your appreciation for Zidane goes only as far as he's a great manager, a brilliant motivator, or just the right man for that particular club, then this season's Real Madrid suggests that maybe you're coming up a little bit short. For starters, Madrid are a very good defensive side, arguably the second best defense in Spain behind only Diego Simeone's Atleti, which might be the best in Europe. But they've conceded the same number of goals as Atleti, a league best 12 allowed through 19 games. But Madrid have done it while often playing a significantly higher defensive line, which would presumably be more of a risk, and without sacrificing nearly as much in the attack as Atletico do. But it's how he's adapted to Madrid's injuries this season that I think really shines a light on how Zidane is underrated as a tactician. Now, the man management, the motivational leadership all plays a part. Those qualities allow him to shelf a player and then reactivate him as needed. Take Isco, for example. He was on the shelf for about a year before suddenly becoming a key component in some of the season's biggest matches like the Clásico at the Camp Nou and the Supercopa final against Atleti. And in the absence of players like Eden Hazard, James Rodriguez, Gareth Bale, and even Karim Benzema in the case of the Spanish Super Cup, Zidane is showing that he can make different systems work with different players. At the Camp Nou, he deployed Isco as a number 10 behind two strikers, with Gareth Bale as a makeshift center forward to accompany Benzema. Isco naturally drifts to the left, so Bale adds a little bit of balance on the right-hand side. But with both the Frenchman and the Welshman out of the squad against Atleti in the Supercopa, Zidane used Luka Jovic as a lone center forward, moving Luka Modric alongside Isco, essentially the inverse of the Clásico 3 weeks earlier. This time, 2 central attacking midfielders behind a single striker. That also meant there was more defensive cover behind the now 34-year-old Modric, who was free to get to the edge of the area, knowing that he had the likes of Casemiro, Varane, Carvajal, and the tireless Fede Valverde there to help him in defensive transition. But without getting too tangled up, too deep into the weeds, we can make the case that Madrid are playing as well as they ever have under Zidane at the moment. And that's remarkable given that the injuries mean they're doing it with less talent than in previous seasons. And while the Johan Cruyff quotes usually only get rolled out for the other side of the Clásico, I'm not comparing styles here, but there's one Cruyff quote that really stands out when I think of Zidane's Madrid, and that is, playing football is very simple, but playing simple football is the hardest thing there is. And in my mind, Zidane, the tactician, has been simply brilliant.